Okay, we're getting started now. Oh, shoot, sorry about that. Hello, everybody. Okay, today I learned of one thing. If a tutorial tells you not to change the defaults, wonder why. Because it turned out that the reason I got here so late was because, well, honestly, I was kind of stupid, and I thought that I had already downloaded the game that I was going to run today. Turns out I hadn't. And then I had to troubleshoot for an extra half an hour because for some reason the stupid game wouldn't show up. Turns out that I needed to change one of the default things in OBS for it to stream properly. And now it is playing. You can actually hear it in the background. Actually, I'm just going to check if it is. Yes, it is. So, let's get started. Today, if you see the title, we're going to be playing Of the Devil. A really cool detective-like game. But serial killers and stuff. If you like Danganronpa, you're gonna love this. And I was from the generation that... man, am I old. From the time where we saw Danganronpa become something here in the West through the Something Awful forums. And let me tell you, the experience was really fun. But recently I watched a Let's Play of Danganronpa and I'm like, wow. This is awful. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's not bad in if you consider it Baby's first murder trial, it is compelling in a way. But the characters do not have much depth precisely because of what it is, and the ones that remain do not have that much depth. And I don't know, I saw a lot of things that I didn't see before. I don't hate it. I just think that it could have been so much more, and I do agree that the second and third Danganronpa are great. Danganronpa 3 had a very, very good intro, and even if the rest of the game is not up to par to my expectations, I think anyone should watch that at least the intro. It's worth it, honestly. But this game, I saw a little bit of it and I was like, I'm sold. I need to play this. And oh man, I'm willing to put out money to continue playing this because this is chapter 0, a demo that was sent out for free for people to read and play. And chapter 1 is already out. And man, I'm really excited. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and get chapter 1 as well. And if you wonder why, well, let's get into it. This game is very, very narrative centric, so I might not be making a lot of commentary and sticking only to dialogues. Rain sizzles off neon above me. The summer showers create a noted uptick in the flickering holograms down the street. A slight blunting of the night ambience. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the second-hand nervous energy of it all, but I'm pretty acclimated already. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my foot just fine. Because if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. I'm Morgan, a criminal attorney. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. But by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadow of a doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never known, and always online. Whether it's incandescent, or neon, or holo. Whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen. There's light shining on every last pixel on the map. Someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity. Anonymity is scarce. The criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you got. You don't balk at public defender work no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke him if you got him. Not that there's much else I can do until my phone. Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. Of the Devil, Episode 0. And he shall appear. And I'll enable tutorials. I'll skip them if I see that they're not necessary. If it's something that I remember. There's a couple of things that I didn't see. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. Nothing but a hologram for a welcome party. I'm here about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. I think they treat with a little more gravitas. And whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. Maybe you're flat broke. No one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. An actual police lineup. It's like a walk into a museum. The museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department is more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel. And all during billable hours. There's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone doesn't automatically file a police report for them. A data pack? I'll buy. This game has this amazing thing. Where is it? Reading list? Yes. No, it's not here. It's... I think it... No, not in the backlog. Here we go. The search terms. At the tutorials in this game, you can find them as search terms. That's things that Morgan herself looked for in line to search a little bit. And I'm not gonna read all of this, but long story short, these are just... What were they? Okay, let me read this one. Lightweight portable electronic devices known as datapads have no significant internal storage capabilities and can only display what is streamed from them through local networks. And so it's just an electronic device. And you can see a lot of these things, and I love this particular part. We are sorry to see that you've installed a subroutine on this device to disable and highlight our recommended premium external links. We understand your drive for personalization, but unauthorized tech impacts our ability to serve you the best, most recent, and relevant information possible. Consider disabling your subroutine so we can serve you a more tailored browsing experience. I love this. This is such good world building. The reason why that, like, these are searches that you put in your phone, and the reason why you cannot click them is because you have this subroutine, so you don't have to go over to external links that Morgan did herself, like kind of jailbaiting. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Rooting your phone or jailbreaking. Sorry, jailbreaking. What's the thing? You know, so that they can do additional modification of the phone, and that is just awesome. Such a great way to build a world. And then all the terms are put over here, and you can also see the profiles here as they appear. Like right now, we still even haven't had a proper introduction of Morgan. But when you see the term appearing over here in purple, it'll be logged in the tutorial parts, as well as the evidence and everything. Everything is color coded. That's just so practical. I'm gonna save here because I never saw the save menu, and it looks really nice. Oh my god, I'm really loving this. Data pad? I'll bite. Even when there are more advertisement in an article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Subway fixes X, city to refocusing canopy. Oh, this one I do remember. Long story short, the subways were X, and a canopy, which is like walkways through skyscrapers above the city, started being built. So there's being a lot of irregularities with it, and people complain about it being an eyesore and stuff. And a lot of people have been hired for these jobs. And that's another good thing. Like, if you don't want to read all of this, which I actually love reading these kind of things, but for the matter of the stream, it's not going to be practical. You can just read the yellow text, which are the hyperlinks that have been blocked to get all the general information. It appears we have 0 free articles remaining this month, and I just love these little things at the bottom. Ah, I love it. How did I... Okay. I forgot how to get out of here. There we go. Boss of them. Bring the paywall there. As if I reach for my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Nice, I got a gist of it. Takeaways at the city will be focusing its efforts on the canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment. Not when Councilman Long's already thorough chummed the waters. There's only these 3 things to examine, and luckily it tells you what you already examined. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad when my phone's made up the same stuff, and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls to the sofa. Here we got a new term. Conductive resin. This is a polymer on the top of the... on the phone. Not all of the terms are going to be important, so I'm not going to search at all of them, but I just love this. You probably know the warranty of one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even if it's sour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. It's like they show 1-1 ratio of public health alerts in advance of pop culture trivia you always get it served at state buildings. There's a few missing persons too. 1 year silver plan coverage, courtesy of Caduceus, is a award for any. Silver's no joke. Someone must be getting desperate. Wait, there was one more? Ah, there we go. Traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishings, multiple screening stations, pragmatic brutalism, so textbook it could teach freshman level architecture. You can almost hear the building groan and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. Civil planning equivalents of battle scars. Modified one so long ago that it's starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built. Walking here now, crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. Alright, I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. It booted up fine. So far so good. Good morning! Morgan, here for the public defender contract.
Could you please provide your name and... Great! Please stand still for a moment.
I wouldn't call an intake hole as charming, more like harmless. That's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk into their text so long as it never speaks out of turn.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth?
So far so good, was it?
Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great! Now could you just confirm your date of birth for me?
Why do they even bother asking? The birthday's on the damn ID card in my profile. And here we go! Now we see the profiles. This is how they teach you to use profiles as important sources of information! Ah! Okay, date of birth December 26, height 175, weight none of your business. Blood type AB negative. Occupation criminal defense attorney. Likes puzzles, smoking, wooden furniture. Dislikes commercials, hairdressers, jogging. Talent can fall asleep in any position. Coffee, decaf. Drink, whiskey sour. December 26th. I have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem, my birthday's December 26th.
Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking off this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak with your client, you can proceed to Counseling Corridor 3C.
Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room?
I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards.
Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel. It's like sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection duly wrapped across gunmetal walls.
Morgan Counselor, can I help you with anything else?
And this is the other thing. The more information that you have, and the better choices that you make, the more information you can, or the better questions you can ask. Like this question only unlocked after getting the other questions right, and I really like that. It's a really good way to reward players for remembering things and for playing properly.
What are you? I'm a smart user interface, proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I could send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask.
I know the city is not terribly concerned with the lower wards. This is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty?
This facility is currently undergoing renovations.
Since when? The 60s?
It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated.
They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they?
I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered.
I'm adaptable.
What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work.
Well, that's all that matters, right?
That'll be all. Thank you. You'll find a counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right.
Thanks. But I think it's just for me now. I think it's just me for now, so you could go on break if you like.
Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor.
What were you doing before I walked in?
You'll find a counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office.
Through the door to the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks, then don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyways. Oh.
There we go. Ice gone bad or something? A voice. No. Voice is coming down from the hall.
Compared to yours, probably.
Thank God I stopped for directions. The building is empty. The desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy.
Appreciate you worrying about me.
God forbid I try to be serious.
Of the other rings with youthful indignation.
It's not like our job's important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Because why else would you bother to print all that out?
One document or 100 looks the same on a data pad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother,
their big brother.
I wasn't gonna say that.
So, how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers?
Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster to let desk handle intake anyway.
But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire, pleased to meet you.
Same here, counselor. Kasim, London. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farah Reyes.
Ball of sunshine?
She certainly is.
Huh?
Sorry you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night.
It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette.
Cigarette? Like
tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me.
We are, the detectives in charge of this particular case. It looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any Apologies in advance for any cobwebs.
Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouse before. He never struck me as more than some old-timer. But I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely in her face though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning, her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe. 2 whole detectives working at this hours. Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene.
No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes.
Calls, plural. It's been quite the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything?
She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation.
Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite it at this point. So, you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity?
Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it out on a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a professional courtesy. A fair warning, yeah. That's the heartbreak killer in that room.
And if we got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass its shitstorm on to some other night owl and go to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer? They cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem?
You're seriously not familiar with HK?
Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks. The crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. The presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender?
Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it.
Along with everyone else.
One bullet straight through the heart. Body left to lie where it falls.
Hence the name Heartbreak.
Let's check this. Really good. Since we don't know how the killer looks, this is like just a funny in-joke in the game that you might miss if you don't check this out. DOB, unknown. Occupation, criminal. Likes killing, dislikes getting caught. Favorite color, probably red. Zodiac sign, probably not into astrology. Rewards, suspended due to influx of false reports. And you can check a little bit about Reyes, Farah, and Cassim. I mean, Mr. London. She's a petite girl. I mean, woman.
Homicide detective, 3rd class. I like rice, limes out of history. I dislike liars, small players, and cheap people. I enjoy watching product reviews. I'm bad at games of chance, and my right eye is an OS Iris Elite 86.
Cassim London here. Homicide detective, 1st class. I like photography, going to dive bars. An occasional bang. I dislike ties, Poland, and after-hour work messages. I like to listen to podcasts. And I have a hobby of pencil sketching. But I can't help it, frequently running late.
Hey, I have 6 money. Not exactly creative, but makes the swirl of every other 100 words article out there. Catchiness trumps originality.
What you won't read about what you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload.
Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. Shooting 6 people with an accuracy like that,
it's a whole different beast.
Takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. You almost make him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it is not. There is no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all those androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky, I guess all firing blanks.
Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades, but they don't commit murder.
Right.
People like Heartbreak is all organic.
That's a pretty terrifying thought. Should I really start paying more attention to the news, I guess? How I managed to miss 6 murders?
Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5.
Pardon? You're still not getting it. HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this Heartbreak killer and tonight was just his latest crime? That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up. I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders?
It's all there in the discovery files and the ARCs, of course.
Now the ARCs, this is interesting. Augmented reality crime scene. Program and distribute
is an investigative tool in which data harvested by the sensors worn on first responders is used to reconstruct a digital copy of recent crime scene. In other words, it's a digital, three-dimensional recreation of the crime scene. Oh man. I'm just smiling from ear to ear. Sorry. I'm just loving this. I'm loving this world building. I'm loving that dialogues, everything so far. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need.
I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. If that's all the same, could I ask you to do some more questions while I've got you here?
The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives?
This kind of attorney. You're just that pleasant.
Yeah. Come on, Sunshine. Not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, right?
Whatever. Let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters?
I just love how she messes with them. We're at your disposal, counselor.
Let's investigate a little bit.
Latest novel androids receive warm welcome. Bolstered by a strong earning support, surging sales of the Animate 16, Noble's electronic stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin was left Noble's shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. And while some critics voiced concerns that French religious or traditionalist groups might find that warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers, users that view their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the last decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animate 16 is poised to break profitability records with no sign of slowing down. And many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings reports, much of the 16th line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable, lifelike, personable charms of their products. And by all accounts, that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Asher. Lead programmer is an understatement of the century, said Noble's brand ambassador Lucy Dees on the stage at the latest Noble Industry Weekend hashtag Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his string solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the evening, Dr. Asher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been a reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in recent years. Are we so to believe he's still— Hey fam, looks like you're not logged into this device. Want to put in your account information so we can help you keep reading?
He's in the news again. It's no wonder. Can't spit without it landing on a piece of Noble tech these days, especially not where the state's involved. I know it will vibe when it comes to warm androids though. The government knew they're just too frail. All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. But these warm androids will paint all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek. It's just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. Barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can spot a single mode of personalization. Is she so new she hadn't had time to unpack? Or is she really that uptight and boring? Huh? Both, maybe. Wow, you shouldn't have cleaned that up much. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs some business guide to a filing system. Or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs. Whether he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. He doesn't look like a paranoid type. But orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Loose wires, missing panels, and an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening on the side, but I didn't think the operation would be these bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. I guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy. What with our dear doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you'll get your palms greased. And science up, that's the only state department with a shrinking budget. Dumping grounds for the police force most ambitious and least popular. Okay, nothing else jumps out at me around here. Got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data I should have been sent alone.
You mean granted access to state files regarding case KL 433511.
Reply C to confirm. Confirm.
You need to reply C in order to confirm.
Am I talking to a person?
I am an automated defendant. Answer usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences.
So the state likes you to be a little authoritarian.
You need to reply C.
C.
It's case sensitive.
Capital C.
Thank you.
Alright. If I project from my phone. Alright, let's see what the police have and what they think is important. Murder weapon. A revolver found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the whole damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police with the murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. The victim's body. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot to the heart, in brief, death was instantaneous. No injuries anywhere else, no blood or skin under her nails. Blood spatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the door when they fired. Stand-up mirror shattered and knocked open. Real glass, no screens or cameras here. It was hit hard enough to come unattached from its arm, but shards of glass were scattered, far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Seems like his face got tossed around at some point. And yet, there's not a scratch in it. Must be pretty damn durable. It's not supposed to be delicate. Maybe it's making a statement. That's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. No signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. How about the rest of the room? There's not much else flat here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris. Flagged as irrelevant. That's your technical assessment? I guess even the crimes and techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? something in the victim's hand? How the hell did... Oh, it's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and... Reprexosome, a synthetic glucorticoid medication. Taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. The autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. She could have solved every medicine cabinet in the city and still wouldn't change the cause of death. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is very incriminating, but the kicker is everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. IoT. Internet of Things refers to the network data sharing that goes on between all the countless electronics that we monitor ourselves with. Phones, computers, security systems, biofeedback devices, body modifications and prosthetics, and of course, automated dependents, all comprise small but vital parts of this network. Without IoT's ability to collect, process, and share information, massive opportunities costs build up as individuals, governments, and private businesses miss out on the valuable insight that the data has to offer. One of the coolest ways that the IoT improves our lives is through the usage of crumbs, small packets of data containing your own unique identifying information. Throughout your day, as your own IoT device says hi to other devices, they leave behind crumbs as a parting gift. So it's like cookies, but they're crumbs. Nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get started. What the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person that comes to mind is... I suppose it could be something important. Red! What couldn't wait until morning? Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Oh, LOL, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can handle with just a keyword in a phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish! What did they do? Make me run laps. Not illegal. Let me finish! They made me run laps, even though I said I had a stomachache. Sad. Gotta be like, youth endangerment, parade indifference, or some kind of shit. Sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. Is that your mugshot? I wasn't gonna not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... Anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? With HPK? Is that the kind of morbid things kids your age talk about? Teens my age. And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines. Old-fashioned murder is like Cardi B is like quaint. It's not heartbreak. Then why'd you take the job, LOL? Is it a 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something? You taking up lost cause pro nose work? It's pro bono. No, it's autocorrect. You know, they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concern nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, LOL. You should go to bed, friend. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. because today is Saturday. What's with the carpe diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You've got school in like 3 hours. Shit! Repeat offenders may be good for business. But that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it. Just your typical teenage drama. So, then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in a few details. So, how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with?
Your client, Carlos Baker Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m.
Using his middle name already? They really do think he's a serial killer.
Charged being the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Diane Dawn.
First degree, that's
increasingly rare,
to say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. See, there's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times. So what's that make him? 5 times. That makes him insane.
I was gonna go with extraordinary.
That's split the difference to say he's extraordinarily insane. Not jobs like that are renowned for their ability to think ahead. What makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up?
5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked near the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Nothing.
So this serial killer chose his victims at random. They have nothing in common. Yeah, nothing in common at all, other than they all look like cousins.
Physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, with the same height, comparable weight.
Well, those features aren't exactly uncommon. Could it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself tied. Anyone can see that. You're really gonna try and tell me you didn't see that resemblance? A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think, what exactly? That Carlos Flat went to kill his girlfriend so badly he went out and shot 5 other women first? Hey, if the shoe fits... If the shoe fits? Then you put the shoe on the...
What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to display their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences.
Drifters, loners, strangers, workers.
He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other women.
Or he's just far gone. Or he's just so far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice run, as rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, there would have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. Top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile,
if you ask me.
I said the time of death was 9 PM on the autopsy log. But do you have any timeline for the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth. But we've managed thanks to Les Spy's resources.
And we're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from their statements.
To the interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 PM.
Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us all about the happy couples and domestic problems.
Everyone in the building, they've been fighting for weeks.
As you probably got together from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered. Things go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. Then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for an audio from the area to get a timestamp. Just to get an idea, refers to the process of scoring all available data posted on the net within a certain time and frame and location range for an evidence of a crime, an increasingly common technique for police departments, corporate investigators, and occasionally public relation firms. Hey Enox, what's up? So basically net scrubbing is, in this case, what the people do when they investigate all the... Real quiet? Oh shoot! Thanks for letting me know, hold on. I'm going to lower the volume of the game because it is a little bit loud. How about now? Is that a little bit better? How about now? To be honest, this game has really good music. Okay. So a little resumen of what happened. This chick over here, this is me. I'm called Morgan and I'm a defense attorney. And I came here out to investigate a murder case. We live in the future, and in this place, the world is surveyed at every corner. There's not a place that is without a camera, a light, or a way to gather information. So murders like this ones are really rare, to the point that the police department is all run down, and murders are really, like this one, are really quaint. And I just arrived to see the crime scene. Actually, I can see over here evidence. Hold on, let me see. Can I see the arcs again? Arcs data. Okay. Now, shoot. So this game does something really good, cool. That everything around you is recorded. And they make arcs, which are... Hold on one second. Terms. Arcs. Here we go. Augmented reality crime scenes. In which you can see the whole crime scene as a 3D model and you can analyze everything. It's a really cool way of taking you to the crime scene without having to move the characters. And it makes sense in the lore of the story. So if you have any questions, just ask and I'll try to answer them. But so far, it seems like everything is against our client. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, look for an audio from the area to get a timestamp. But we heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Riot Emergency Services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was. The silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m. And then they arrive to find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood. At which point they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand? Singular? Your client's modded. Cybernetic right arm. How modern are we talking about here? Registered with an HAO 85 Habilis, industrial grade looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of, well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Considering a career change? No, it's not that, it's just... Your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time.
Here, I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion.
You think a cop would cover her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing first time we met. You what? But getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. Can't work without it, money's got tight.
The Argyll?
Yeah.
When did he put his arm in for repairs?
8 days before HK's first victim was killed.
Well, no chance I'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence.
Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. No one else's.
A revolver? What kind?
The old kind. The real old kind.
More specifically, a Calver M54, 6-chambered, 10mm. Calver? A retro?
You don't know half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags.
No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here?
Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger pulse, safety is coded to owner biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags made shooting crimes very unambiguous.
So you're claiming my client is some kind of antique to commit these crimes? How else do you think he'd have gotten away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before an update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's...
Model year 2054.
A 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it?
In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets.
The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old too.
The novelty of his weapon has kept us in the dark so far. But now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put him away for good.
Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig. With the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. Rifling marks?
Bullets fired from guns that old are marked by the barrel shape.
So if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun.
It's not as plug and play as stacks are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that's not damning enough, the spent casing from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber.
Without even needing to reload.
Calver client you found with is... The Calver your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that.
An untagged gun. Just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over the dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize then, you believe that my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend. Then he retrieved his weapon and shot her. Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his effect? Quiet, detached, stiff.
Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner.
That reaction may have lost him points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. So long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. So. Now, okay, actually I think this is going to explain who the Heartbreak Killer is. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job of keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories of who hurt HK was a real weighty read.
It's not just journalists though. All kinds have been emboldened. The freaks that HK's managed to bring out of the woodworks in just a few weeks.
Can you blame him though?
I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are endangered species, but he's gotten it away with.
We know what he's gotten away with.
Take a look around us, detective. National DNA Registry is robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone of every citizen. Violent crime at an all-time low and clearance rates at an all-time high.
But? You're gonna spout some alt-pol bullshit about invasion of privacy?
No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off. The pressure from the higher ups must be reaching its peak.
Blah, 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 blah.
I really should have made vocalization exercises before starting this. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable.
Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates we start the media for the case details.
That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get.
But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place.
And why is that?
Because none of the shootings were caught in the opt-in crime surveillance system.
How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying you haven't seen this killer on camera once?
You think we'd have let him kill 6 people if we did?
I understand your concern, ma'am, but Optics is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance systems hanging up to feed into the state security network. It's not perfect. There's another one of the many public safety tools in our belt.
It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent.
One would hope so. That chance. Deterrents are for war room and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching out those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved. But the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts. The math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict.
I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. You'd have mentioned that my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modeled for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, but that just leaves city planning. So does he work construction for the city?
HK's only ever struck at times and locations where Optics would be down. And with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincidence.
Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed? Yeah, there was a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from other crime scenes? Was my client a match?
There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes.
No footage, no forensics.
Also no motives, tampering or witnesses. Seemed like hunting a damn ghost. Didn't even have a murder weapon.
Until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue.
Scanners, scams, drones, forensics, no matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work really relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK's a kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we even caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along.
So, was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects.
We questioned some X's, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting on some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with.
In other words, the only thing they could have to link to my client to those killings is a murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well.
One cool thing this game has is that depending on how much you investigate and what questions you ask, the more things that you can ask, like this one. This one was locked, and if I hadn't investigated the desks and the previous room, I wouldn't be able to access this. So now I can ask about the androids and cops. By the way, couldn't help but notice you're light on staff.
It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade?
I thought there'd be at least a few androids around. Aren't many androids in a police station this week, not while the brass is renegotiating contracts.
Contracts with Noble.
Noble here being the name of the company that mass produces AI and androids and stuff like that. Good guess.
Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corps there is. Spend all day in a center city without leaving their office's shadow.
Yes, we're very fortunate to have them here quartered here. Saves us some money on shipping at least. But the stocks never last that long. Sure, they'll be back to writing checks for Noble heads at the end of the month.
Even with Noble pushing those warm androids? Warm? Yuck. Might as well call it the adult line.
Might seem in the bigger departments or out on patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yet.
Yet? You really think that'll happen?
We already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, and pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like that big of a stretch to me.
You're joking, right? Android detectives? With all the pain we go through with getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality? I can't imagine. Cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, and you're gonna be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door and calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting shit that'll get you put on a list.
Well, we certainly don't want that. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already get all our facts from machines. Give it a few more years, it might make sense to let machines do the investigating too.
The union would. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified. It's the only real union there is anymore. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do. The picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the dastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly gonna have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well, that's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified?
Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line.
Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints.
There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading.
I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. We can check the evidence right now. Let's see, is it here? It's not. Not yet.
Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not, sick, want any of this to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't, sick, mean to at first, but I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but I didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough. I know that. Now I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact.
Well, got a spin on that?
No need.
But it's a confession.
Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering he asked for a presentation.
Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer, and got you. Guess you're both lucky.
Hardly. Just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, you see. Look, Counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, Counselor. But we'll still be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuffs? That cuff, that is, stays on. That worried about me? How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross. I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I suggest you help him sign the confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if there ever was one. And even if the death penalty is not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not gonna like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person and it's being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who pled guilty. That much is true. It saves the courts a great deal of time and money. They show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards a heartbreak killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carlos flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot of cover. But this shouldn't take all night. What are you... Look, I already told you people, I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well... They said that too. All of them did. Back there and here, kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, that they knew it was all a mistake. Then they said that I killed, acting like they were on my side and they thought that It's not their job to help you, Carlos. But it is mine, and I'm here now. I'm still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just climb up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure. They were treating you as a suspect.
not as a client.
Okay. So what do you want to know? Thing is, as far as I know in this game, if I ask the wrong questions in the wrong order, the person I'm investigating with can come up and close my route to helping him. As far as I know. I haven't played this game fully. I just watched someone else play it, and I kind of wanna make my bad choices to see what happens, but I also want to follow along the story properly. So let's go the proper way first.
Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded. Wrote. I'd like to know a little bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in?
I'm with City Engineering. Or I was, or I should be.
So I thought, police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts from data he stole using from work.
My arm, I got it slot for the job. And
Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So what do I know? He works in city engineering, not a desk job. Ray said he was modeled for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment. Based on his shoulder, it have to be pretty utilitarian. Yeah, doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless, the rich, swapping in neon and chrome limbs just because they like the way it looks, or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted me to mod.
Really?
Really. I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out, a whole career path of promotions and bonuses, and the upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present. Test results politely confirming him that he's not a viable candidate.
That sucks.
I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad that he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think it does. I always figured that if I start at all, I'd start small. A hand or an eye. Test the water. Never thought about lobbing my whole damn arm off. The recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because if the NCDA there was financial aid and resources. Of course, that got shit canned, so now me and every other mother is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit.
The new Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment.
I worked at tighter spaces, high volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff for mothers, you know? Just to mention, the canopy in this case is a project that is made in the city, whereas the train... Hold on one second. Return... Reading list. Here it was. Subways abandoned. Okay. The subways were abandoned in exchange for the canopy, which is a system of walkways above the city streets. There is divisive opinions about how good or bad it is and how good or bad it looks. But this means that most of the government funds are located towards the canopy. Just in case you needed a refresher on what the canopy is in this case.
He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat his words back at him to keep him talking. The right word choice here or there can still make a difference. Work in the canopy? You must be strong, good with heights, under a lot of pressure. You must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off.
Damn straight! And this crap with Long? Once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that the internal affairs is gonna come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving.
No room for engineering.
Yeah, and no patience for screw-ups.
He's trying very hard not to look over his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos?
Yeah, that. Rejection issues starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights.
Rejection?
Did therapy not take? It's not like that. Wasn't losing pus out of my sockets or anything.
Then do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars?
Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed.
So those cuts on your face are just from shaving.
Never thought this would go on so long. I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix.
But the problem got bigger.
Couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line.
Where did you turn it in?
Some ass turned around chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't.
Doesn't sound like you're a happy customer.
Hell no! I found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning...
The manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance.
And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive ass stump for a shoulder. Haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've gotten 2 working arms again.
You can buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime?
I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all looked up white knuckle tight.
Hindi? How Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their Habilis models.
I took one step on site with uninsured tech. Forget the fines, I'd lose that down payment and my arm. I'd never work in the city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking out their neck for anyone now that longs in deep hot shit.
You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain?
Pain will come and go. It's the itches that'll kill you. And the phantoms, they come back pretty fast when I don't have anything. Anything arm-shaped attached to me.
Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something the clinics lend out for cases like this?
But they gave me a dead weight, 3-jointed, landfill bait piece of shit! Sorry, it's just... It's a very shitty feeling, having part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits, it's compatible, technically. You can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep or dead.
So, were you wearing it when you were arrested? Were you wearing it when you were arrested?
No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so... Can't have gotten too far.
So Detective Ray has been quite literal about how he was found. Had the victim's blood on his left arm only, because the rhyme at the time in question didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far. He's opened up about as well as can be expected. This has all just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other?
Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics. Focused her studies in the agriculture.
It always takes him a few tries to get used to using past tense.
Just finished her post-grad work this year. That hired right out of the gate. Practically headhunted, you believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company would be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job. Paid real-ass money too.
So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps.
Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Perigi Laboratories. I say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. Now no corporations earn the mega prefix without a little cutthroat. But Harco is about as tame as big businesses can get. Predictable like the seasons, no one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murder because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes? Corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. There is nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It's a long shot, hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. But we know with our suspects, I can just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I have to disrupt their arguments entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was. Now I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. Details are important. But before that, we have our special guest in a bot in Twitch. Let's make sure this bot gets the reception they deserve. And clear all the chat. Bots pop up now and then. It's a little bit annoying, but what are you gonna do? I'm guessing they're never gonna stop appearing. This is the kind of bots that I want to talk about. This game. Alright, Miss. Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working, haven't been making any money. Haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself. But more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say we're arguing around 8 p.m. 8? Yeah, that must have been when we started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing that I really shouldn't have. I crossed the line and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah. Walked out the front door, thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. While I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you, or any other electronics? No. I kinda stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street level cameras won't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Did you buy anything? Cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. I wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... But if my exact route would help, that counts probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? There's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you got no alibi. This isn't... This can't... Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't. Carlos? I'm the one person you don't have to try to convince.
After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with.
Right.
Now, you said that you left to clear your head. So what made you come back?
I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was, but it was loud and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first, but at some point I must have started running because when I got back I was so out of breath. When I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't.
You live on the first floor, right?
Yeah. First floor apartment, street facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. Like it was some kind of big deal. In the hallways, I saw her but I didn't realize. I never thought she was. The lights were off, the whole room was a mess. Thought we had been robbed, that she had fallen or there was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was. I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse. She was still warm. Her blood was warm. And I saw
the gun.
It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real.
Is that why you picked it up?
What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it.
Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie. But it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. None of this works if he doesn't trust me. Have your prints? You were fun with it. It's registered to you.
Ah. Yes, this is what I mean. Some of these are wrong. Like, it's registered to you, it's obviously not registered, it's unregistered completely. So if we choose this one, we lose credit with our client and with the case. And credit in this case is literal credit. Like, over here, if we check our phone, this is our credit. They're chips. This game, like Danganronpa has a whole bullets thing. This game has the chips as the allegory for the game, like betting, and it goes so good once you get into the betting parts. Oh my god, I want to get to them so bad. Of your prints.
The fact that your fingerprints are on the gun.
What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just...
Carlos. All I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all.
Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun?
I'm not explaining how his prints got on the gun. Not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun...
So stupid. I know what the gun looks like. But seeing it in my own home right in front of...
You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that.
Sorry. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast. It seemed like the rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect.
Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane. You said you were surprised to see the room crash when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that you two never had a physical fight?
What? Physical? We never fought like that! Did the police say we did?
They assumed as much. Which means they also assumed the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume?
What is it?
I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene.
Oh.
It's an AR module built from data taken as the police entered, so...
Right, it's just that.
It's just data, Carlos. No grisly details.
Okay. Let me see it.
Take your time.
Alright, I think I've got it.
That's how the police found things. Now, close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place.
Alright.
I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind.
I don't remember exactly what everything was. But, well, the mirror was upright, of course. And that clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point and the bed got tossed. The cushion's torn. And the turn fell. Other than that... No, sorry, that's all that stands out to me.
I see. Like so?
Enox, if you're not watching, I want you to watch the artistic representation that Morgan did of the victim's room. I wish I had skills like that.
What's wrong? Something out of place?
Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I just assume your notes will be making edits to the AR? Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean... I think your drawing was pretty good, considering... I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean?
I mean this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession.
A confession? But this is just a note to self.
Pardon?
Look, when we fight, I lose my temper. I say things that I don't mean to. So this morning I tried writing things down, so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her, instead of just fighting with her.
Carlos, you said in the note that you hurt them.
That's... I broke her fidget tubbies.
Her what?
Her what? Her fidget tubbies. They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. You use them as paperweights or conversation starters.
Conversation starters.
She loved those little things. They're not worth a damn. You can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her. And I broke them. I mean, I was busy at the time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I'm swinging it half the time. Got so angry, I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dusty, worthless...
Okay, let's say he did break her frigid duckies with this replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove that that was his intent. What his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the heartbreak killings anyway...
Couldn't even bother to sweep them up. I felt so...
Alright, Carlos. Thanks for answering my questions. Now, I'm going to call the police back in here, and I'm going to get this cleared up for you.
What? That's it?
That's it.
Oh. Okay.
Although, before I do that, I have to ask. What do you know about the Heartbreak Killer?
Heartbreak? Ah, shoot. I went a little bit back. Hold on. Ah, backlog. Shoot. Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone else, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge. A guy like that out there, he shoots people through the heart, right?
Police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any outstanding news sources. So unless he already was following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend.
I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that's just... That doesn't mean anything, does it?
If he's this low on the uptake, it's gonna be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory. As quick and definitely as possible.
Blah, blah, blah. I really suck at first reading. I didn't realize I could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke whenever I want. For a fee. I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right. I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am, I'm never going anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh. Well then, not to that too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice, because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay. So, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And, in this metaphor, we're playing poker. And the state's the dealer? If only! No, the state's more like the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best as we can. Win more hands than we lose. Keep it up and eventually someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder and whisper something in their ear. And then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So, our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy? What's up? You know there's a saying about gamblers with strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? Guess I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair since they're the only ones who end up having to prove the goddamn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long protracted trials. They all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately then, you'll have to call them back, because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right! What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, Will. We'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint-by-number stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment, with his fingerprints on it, apologizing about how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night. Now I've got the weapons to answer anything they try and throw at me. Well? My client did write that note, and it was an apology. But not for murder. He was apologizing for... murder weapon linked to 5 other crimes. Okay. Ah, man. It's obviously debris. He was simply apologizing for this. The fuck is that? I find myself asking the exact same question, just with hell. What are we looking up? What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This diagram of the room is created from data you captured, right? Pure non-GMO augmented reality crime scene data, yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh. Because that vase is a fake, wasn't damaged, wasn't here. Let's go with... Well, it wasn't damaged because we have nothing about it. It's a fake. It's not possible for that debris to have come from the base. Because that vase is still pristine. How is that? How is that possible? Hold on a minute. Don't crash. Don't crash. Don't crash. Don't crash. Come on. The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it, the only time I tried to thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does it even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch in it. Then the debris must have come from somewhere else. The debris is what my client wrote the apology for. You're saying that confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am, because that pile of rubble is all the remains of the victim's collection of fidget toys. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident, and this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note, and we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, as the arcs already shows. Those fidget toys must have gotten pulverized through the struggle, though. You're really gonna claim he sat down to write an apology for breaking her toys after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. A dusty fidget tubby slayer. Just take a closer look at the rental took into custody. Huh? One swipe of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the fickle body ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your text found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now did you mention it? Fine, whatever. He broke them with his arm while he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed. Because even a cheap man's arm's got an operating system that logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report. It said the rental hadn't been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time. Where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service! Are you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe he was that upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Setting aside Detective Ray's surprising depth of knowledge about when it comes to collectibles. You're correct, they held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic-ersing on that page. No, the only reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos is sensitive. It's an engineer. Is right-handed. Because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be my permanent record or something? So, the reason why that note looks like an asylum wall scribbles
is just because he had to use his left hand to write it.
I tend to think better when writing than typing. And I need to get used to my left, anyway. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account, alongside the ceramics,
your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to the big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have his fingerprints on it. That's right. That coat is... What, you're gonna claim it's not his? That he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me in her typical low-key fashion. She must have something. No sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious. What'll be next? You gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? I can stay or raise. This is what Stay. Gee, Carlos, do you?
No.
Yeah? Sure there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention?
No, I'm afraid not.
Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime? To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually. But going there now without hard evidence... I can't prove a third party. I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's clear as day in the arcs. No evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't gonna win with that hand either way. But at least I didn't overstep and take any more damage than I had to. We're not contesting any of that, detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home up to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart.
Hey,
but not illegal either. And that's all? He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did.
Right.
Do you have those clothes on by hand? Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way?
Well, I finished with them a while ago.
What are you getting at?
It'll be easier just to show you.
Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use a fresh air. It stinks of bullshit in here anyway.
And here I thought the room smelled like...
Psst, Morgan.
What are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that, like, make me look really bad?
Just relax, Carlos.
I'm pretty sure that's impossible.
You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you.
Really?
Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing.
What was it that it reminded me of?
Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket fresh from the lab. So, what's your angle? You gonna tell us this is actually just hot sauce? No. That would be silly.
She actually thought it over.
So what the hell's your point? Hey! Sorry, just thrown off by that turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing you your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart. By a gun that happens to be an old-world, pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves that he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be key here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can. While you can smell the coat with your nose, or you can feel the coat with your hands, or you can see the coat with your eyes. And this is what I loved about this game so fucking much. Oh my god, it's not spelled out, but it's hinted at.
in a completely natural way.
Just do me one favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. I don't smell anything except dried blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of...
Cigarette. That's what I've been smelling.
Yes, Detective London. I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation?
I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket.
If you would.
Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder.
What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder's weak by today's standard, but it's still volatile stuff. Hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. The hell is she talking about, London?
Modern firearms like the ones we carry or use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise. And they don't leave behind any residue.
Gunpowder residue. You talk my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces. But a bubble like this one? It'll leave gunpowder in the skin of whoever fired it for days. So then, his coat. If you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her, or he changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it would be pretty pointless. Huh? His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing as soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over at any moment. The lead was mostly icing on the cake for them. That gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never fired the gun, I'll admit, things were a little dicey there at times. But once I was able to grasp the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say... Did she get a message?
Wait, did they actually manage to find it?
Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting a thread into knots, making the facts work for you. Thanks. But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting, and right now, I'm staring at the photo of the killer. Wanna bet? A photo of the shooter. If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something of it from the scrubbers. She must have something. She must be bluffing. Okay, from here on, I do not know. No, she definitely has to have something. I'm not sure I follow, Detective. Didn't we establish that there was an optics blackout during the shooting? Sure there was, but this isn't from optics. Good thing I held my tongue, as I thought. Scrubbers must have managed to dig up something from outside the network. This is something else. Sometimes you will lose, but you need to know how to lose the least possible. And I don't know, I just love the dynamic of this. Like, it's not always win-win-win. It's not always the correct answer. Sometimes you just have to go for the least bad answer. And I don't know, that I just feel like that's good writing. Which means... Party's over, Counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Well. Okay, the quality is lacking. And yet, there it is.
They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in a whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances?
Now, with the scale their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good. It's a far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You could even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are...
Well,
it's a little bit...
Lori? Don't look at me. I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how the crazy couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on. And so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand, and you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image, and there's no way in hell you could get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right. We couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, it doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo. What the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could. Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in a hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. And what do we know? And who do we know had their left-hand fingerprints all over the gun?
You're referring to my client.
You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, though he must have shot with his left.
Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left side had no gunpowder whatsoever.
Forensic will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get you were going, you somehow end up dry. That doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test.
Carlos is innocent. I know he is. But that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means that photo doesn't show what it appears to show.
So, at a loss for words? Never.
I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly?
Exactly. Positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we de-anon the phone's owner and ask him where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells that the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bathroom. We're looking straight at the shooter, but it's pretty obvious that this was taken from across the north window.
From the north?
If this is from the north, then why can we clearly see the... It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window.
If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. She's right, the photo was taken from the north. She's wrong, the photo was taken from the west. Okay. Evidence.
Crime scene map. I love that the crime scene map is only detailed enough to tell you the hint that you need, not more than that. It's not telling you any more. Just a northern window with a window, western window facing the eastern wall. Nothing over here, nothing over here. So this time, I'll raise.
I'm afraid that's simply not possible, detective. This photo has to have been taken from the west.
What kind of bluff is that supposed to be?
The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative.
The hell do you mean this was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway.
Your officer's ARC's data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And all that together, that tells us that this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider this wall was leave, nothing else of note. Mirror was upright, clock was on the wall, cushions in bed were neat. Just take one look at the clock in that photo. The clock? What about it?
The clock, huh?
Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high.
This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong.
He's right, the time of death could be wrong. Gris, he's wrong, the time of death is correct. That's a good question, Detective London. And the answer is no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m.
Right, no mistaking that.
So then what the hell are you on about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo. Analog style. It reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing out of the time clock. But you remember there being a clock in the room. What?
Actually, I don't recall there being a clock.
That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock. Because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is a northeastern corner. My client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? This? An artistic rendition.
It's, very distinct.
If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shootings, why didn't you just add that to the arcs? And show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, detective. Slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is that if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred,
then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it.
Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time that this photo was taken off the shooter. But if you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fight, you've got your logic backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And there's only one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. And this I do remember. Glass shards. What about them? Only they're on top of the victim's body, and not under it. If the glass falls on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got thrashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? That's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes?
Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds.
So, what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal, and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So what if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards? He still shot her! And we have photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger. Because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't! The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time. Oh, no, that's Morgan. The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And we know that until the room was tossed, that clock was on the eastern wall. which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west.
Back to this shit, that's impossible. The only hallway in that apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints in that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is that he used it to murder 6 innocent people.
You're a very honest person, detective.
Excuse me?
That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You played your cards too early. Now I can steal the pot right out from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo.
What?
What we are seeing is...
What is that? You're trying the glass shards again?
Sort of. By the way, you recall where those glass shards came from?
Yeah, sure. They came from a
standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across the room from the western window. But then that would mean a dead angle from that viewpoint. It would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun on their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. He hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that it was recovered, because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. That should be the end of it.
Except, I'm a petty bitch. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler.
Song Cost has gotten its teeth on her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. That impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you alone.
In summary,
my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, wailing at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to the gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, he received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting, and instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, he tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm, he could have stolen one! A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is just ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you got? Even a bare bones prosthetic of the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. You have to bring it to a clinic which would have left a record in his shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime called for a full spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around it minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? Well, any objection? Detective?
God damn it!
Fold.
Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you.
Now I gotta call the DA. Tell her I made a mistake.
Not we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know.
Detective?
Lost my train of thought. But hey, your turn is a real tiger. She just fought like hell for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well.
Yeah. That's kind of you to say, detective. But my work is its own reward.
Sure. I feel exactly the same, counselor.
What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal. And there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats! You get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact.
Yay? But what am I supposed to do now?
The detectives will continue their investigation.
Their investigation into Heartbreak, huh?
Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements.
No, that's not what I... Diane being gone is bad enough. But a serial killer... It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore.
People die of the flu all the time, but... I know what you mean.
I can't make sense of it. So what am I supposed to do?
Hell if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors.
No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself, to try to convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you.
You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job to...
No. I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her.
Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place. Easy to find. Hard to miss. But the blood's always different. Flowering stain, unfurling towards an invisible sun. Perfectly unique bloom. Only one for each of us. Auror's heart tests with singular, universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite, the end. But the comical thought of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. Bullet number 6 of 6. The gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but... whatever! Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an intact gun for a fair bit of cash. But cash can buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Hopping around in the dark here must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did you think I was her boyfriend back for an encore of our enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey! Yeah, did you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud. People aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood, but I didn't see anything I could use even as a partial suppressor on the way in. Can you really not afford some throw pillows? Here's the other 5 bullets in outer spaces and small spheres of blind opportunity the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. The corpse had a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, no, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I could cover that stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on, and for the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the shits with my frustration, and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle.
At least it will be consistent. This was all so stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first three went down with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... Ugh. Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All the threats and breakdowns of the goddamn theory crafting. And all for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain. From a season where the writers were on strike. Feel insulted by the level, but no. That's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. It's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... Well, I'm sure people will come up with something. He got rejected 1 too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. Had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window would have been irritated me to no end. Now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight. Thick. Energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel in every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin. Like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. Sorry, using my left is still... That's okay. You can just initial in those spots. Took a scenic route home courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation and got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40, a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer, and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, what else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take a job where I already know more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. Would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals. Maybe even fans, depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now Heartbreak can just starve to death out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with the case this sentimentally does have its risks. Hell, might have even overdone things here or there. Like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room, just to make doubly sure that I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That Lano fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously, everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too.
Funny.
I didn't even know her name.
Something the matter?
No, sorry, it's just... I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was mad too. So when she died...
That was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain.
Sorry. In fact, I can guarantee that she was dead before she hit the ground.
No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me.
Tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself.
What is it?
Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. Piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit anywhere else.
Maybe you can make sense of it.
Meds for a moderate, non-lethal doses present.
What is the... Where did you find that?
That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained triprexason, prescribed to help mothers with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps too for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with a steady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. In my eyes, anyway. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping with that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why? Why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for heartbreak. The gun's in custody. There's no more bullets left. There won't be a seventh victim. There won't be any more leads to pursue. Emira will move on to their next obsession. Move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you! District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Ugh. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon or not, you're always so... put together! Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise? Aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes darkened out for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. Sorry, just needed to turn on my light. She's a prosecutor, a lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defender's guilt. Despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, because I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has a remarkable ability to compartmentalize that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job, and hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have got you doing in this ungodly hour, Emma? I don't think what they've got you doing in this ungodly hour, Emma. Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Harper killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to a trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives. Yeah, London and a new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial.
Preparation for trial, that seems ambitious. I guess they gave it a rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but
It's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little.
it's hard to kill while leaving behind so little.
So Reyes told you that they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited run down here?
Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much in my mind.
So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. And that's about all.
Oh? I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same killer that outsmarted the state for weeks. She's not using his middle name. He was found with a murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. Okay, so not using the murder weapon, right-handed. Let's go for the rental. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it. No gunpowder residue or him on his clothes. Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about. His dominant arm modded. With documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to the scorch marks. Not to mention, he's too tall for ballistics and triangles. And probably too heavy not to leave imprints. She got all that from a glance. But I'm sure competent lawyer yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is, she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, the... Right, sorry, you've probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Kind of fallen out of fashion the last few decades. Not much to guess about with the why when 99 out of 100, the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. How about profiling? So, this profiling is some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill. Stabbing, overkill, points to passion, rage, lust. They probably know their victim. Poison and guns meanwhile suggest they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the thing you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detective says HK doesn't leave evidence. How much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untapped firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside of the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. Sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. Though I'm not enthralled about the fact that in that metaphor I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detective said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So that's been heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. Never like a stallion applying for a job in a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. Right. That's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police though. Maybe secondary? Tertiary? These types can help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I do not I don't do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK's not the cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime and statistic analysis? Probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response systems from across the city and map them out, look for brief spikes and delays, shout out the dips in. Sorry, technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Well, at least this heartbreak maniac would slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it, he just left it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills.
Are there other shootings with the same MO?
No, not that I found.
Other victims that fit the description?
Oh. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other. They also took a lot from a lot of people.
That's true.
Hell, they kind of look like me.
Do they?
Sure. Wait, what? You don't see it?
I hadn't thought about it.
Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think Heartbreak is a misnomer.
You've got something catchier in mind?
I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance for her. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 intact bullets. 6 kills guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun. It's the perfection.
That's hard to wrap your head around.
I'm saying that this 6 murder was just a fluke, a slip-up.
A mistake?
Exactly! A mistake! Wow, you're so smart! They've got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed.
Are you talking about the crime scene?
Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right?
Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing.
On the contrary.
I don't follow.
This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. Mwah. If anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum.
You make them sound like a child.
Childish. And cowardly. And two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win.
Your profile tell you all that?
That? Nah. That part's just... It takes one to know one.
Huh. So to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type. In a city with an
8-digit population.
Well,
good luck. I don't need luck. I only need more information.
Well, I'm sure the city will be happy to provide you with more resources.
No, Morgan. I mean, I need more crime scenes.
Oh.
Sad truth is, Heartbreak walk away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies.
Not a very fair trade, is it?
No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil.
Fair enough.
Woof. Okay, that one's pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, or sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher threat count would help?
Don't worry about it.
I'm always happy to listen to you ramble.
It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom.
Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. So, no hard feelings, yeah?
No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you?
Don't tempt me.
If you fall asleep face first on the table, I won't even take a picture.
Okay. Just don't expect this to make any difference next time we're at each other's throats.
Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to a case they actually stand a chance of closing. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside, work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. In a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, never quitting either. So, I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. As long as that's the case, may as well try to enjoy the view.
Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while.
For how long?
I'm sorry, I do not know. There's no need to look that upset over it.
My face barely moved.
It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that.
This friend of yours, they're trustworthy?
Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on. It'll be fun.
Really?
Really. Educational too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan, when it comes to people.
Personally, I think it's cool to bring something that flawed into the world.
You're a criminal defense attorney, and we're at a crime scene. I think we can guess what happens next.
I've never stolen anything that wasn't already compromised.
Work hard and the company will have you set for life. And after 2.
Can't tell you how many musicians have been screwed over by a big smile and a fat sign-in bonus.
So that's just not the lawyer job thing. You dress like a doorman on the weekends too, huh? Compared to determining fault, determining cause of death is like a breath of fresh air.
The company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long.
But it's a million times more likely than the alternative. That heartbreak could ever stop themselves from killing. Father said that you owed him. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it.
Okay, that last part was a little bit hard to to read over. Had to change really fast with all the voices. And this was Of the Devil, Chapter 0. Congratulations! You finished episode 0 with 30 credits. You've also unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on your highest score for episode 0. You also have 30 remaining sour credit to spend on phone charms and case colors, based on the highest credit you finished this episode with. Yeah, so, you remember how the menu is the phone? You can actually go, when you go to store, you can change the things. For example, this gives you this. And you can change the menu thingy. And do I still have... Oh shit, I spent it all. I'm gonna have Emma because I love playing her. And this was Of the Devil. I absolutely loved it. And I know that at the beginning I was kind of stumbling with my words, but I got on it eventually. And oh man, I just love these kind of games because so much to speak. Anyway, that's going to be all for me. I will see if I can get Of the Devil episode 1 soon so that I can continue next chapter. But after today, man, I just love this game. I just loved it so much. Thank you for joining me, Enox, and thank you everyone else who manages to watch this VOD. I hope you enjoyed this experience, and see you next time. Peace!